issues that the Gray Panthers have focused on over the years and in our current environment. And so this final panel is to look at not an issue, but how do we do activism? So Gray Panthers are activists, and we've talked a lot about different generations, and we want to look at activism. A lot of us have been in this room have been doing activism for many years. And so we want to look at what works in terms of activism. What have we found? Are there different strategies in today's world that are more effective than ones that were in times before? Do we need to revive ones from times before? But how do we really do activism that works and that leads us to where we want to go? We talked about a lot of issues. Now we're talking about activism, and I just wanted to share a quote that I love of Maggie Coons, who was our founder. I've never been able to turn down a good cause. So we're out there actively on any good cause. And so now it's to talk about how do we do that work. And I'm going to turn it over. We have two speakers here with us. We have Larry Ham for today from the People's Organization for Progress, and Katie Wilson from Generation Progress, that's a part of the Center for American Progress. Are going to speak to you from their perspective and explain the kind of activism that they're involved in and the things they do, and then we'll have a dialogue about really what have we learned about what works and what do we need to do in today's world to make change.
Hi everyone. So as Sally said, I'm super happy to be here. Really interesting learning about the Gray Panthers. This is my first experience with the Gray Panthers. The email that I got was basically the first interaction I had, and I was like, why are they calling me? What do they want me to come and speak to them about? And then I read about the organization, and it's actually really interesting about kind of the intergenerational activism that's absolutely necessary in today's society. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Katie, either one. I am a born and raised Nevadan, and in 2008 I volunteered for the president's election, and that's really when I got the political bug. That was the first election that I was old enough to vote in, so that was very exciting. Between 2008 and 2010, my father passed away, unfortunately, and my mother had passed away when I was in high school, and so I was left kind of without any lifelines, and I couldn't afford college, and I was living with my dad, and when he passed away, the house foreclosed, and I had to go on food stamps, and I had to go on unemployment, and I was a young 21-year-old girl who had done everything right. I was going to college, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I looked around and said, wait, I'm the person who deserves the system. This is who we should, I'm not a leech on society, I'm active, I'm smart, like I'm doing this right. Where is the system supposed to be working for me? And so I looked around and I said, okay, well, I'm supposed to have representatives who can help me with this sort of stuff. So I was lucky enough to have Senator Reed as my representative. He's a pretty good guy to have in your circle as far as a Nevadan. And so I went to his office and I said, I'm the person who you're supposed to be helping, I'm your constituent. And they helped me apply for financial aid, they helped me fill out all of the paperwork that I needed to with the state. And it was really this moment where I was like, oh, the system does work when you're active with it, when you are involved in it, when you know who to ask questions to and you know who to pressure. And that really motivated me in 2010. I ended up working for Senator Reed. I was his paid canvas director, so I handled all of his door-to-door knocking, so that's kind of quintessential activism. And going forward, really got this bug for making young people understand that they need to know who their representatives are, and they need to know the system well enough to know that it's there to help them, not to be this gridlock or not to be, what our idea of Congress is now, which is pretty horrific. So really getting involved in that system and making it work for you. So I did that in 2010. Obviously, Senator Reed won, which was fantastic. I was called into duty and asked to go to Chicago to work at the president's headquarters. So I spent last year in Chicago working there, which was a really phenomenal opportunity. And after leaving Chicago, received the call to come and work at the Center for American Progress. So the Center for American Progress is the leading progressive think tank in Washington, D.C., but I kind of pride myself on being the outside of the Beltway gal. I'm very new to D.C., so I'm actually talking about, oh, what you're saying inside of the Beltway means absolutely nothing to an average person in Nevada. So let's change our messaging to actually get people to understand how to do this. More importantly, I work for Generation Progress, which Generation Progress is the millennial outreach hub of the Center for American Progress. So we do all of the policy work, all of the communications, and all of the advocacy for age group 18 to 35. So that's kind of my spiel. I'm sure we'll get into more details, but that gives you an idea of how I got here and where I'm at. So I'll pass it over to Larry.